On this month's Crafty Chat, I have a finished object, a work in progress, and a little bit of a confession. So get your favorite cuppa and settle in. Hello and welcome. If you are new here or just don't know that much about me, I am Barbie and I am a multi-crafter. Here on this channel, I generally stick to crochet, knitting, and sewing. However, there are some times that you might see some other little crafty ventures sprinkled in. If that is something that sounds interesting to you, then please consider subscribing. I am trying to get to 500 subscribers, or I have a goal of getting to 500 subscribers by my birthday, which is midway in that second part of our second week of March. So I'm chasing that down pretty quick. And if you could help me with that, greatly appreciate it. That being said, let's get into this crafty chat. So today my beverage of choice is coffee, although my cup is getting kind of low, so I do have my ice water. Um, I will finish this up while I'm working on this video. This January has been absolutely crazy weather-wise. A lot of the East half of the United States, at least, has seen numerous Arctic blasts, and they're going farther south than normal, or typical. Anyway, and in order for them to hit the southeast, they have to come and barrel through the Midwest first. So we have had a lot of mornings where we have woken up to the actual temperatures being below zero. And for those times or those days, rare days, that the temperature hasn't been below zero itself, the real feel or the wind chill has been below zero. So we've reached wind chills of like -40. So, and this is all Fahrenheit. So we're cold. We also did get some snows. So we did have a few snow days where it takes me the entire day to dig out from even just a little bit of snow. It's a lot of snow to move. So on those days, I did not have the full energy to really hardcore work on any projects. So there have been a few less projects for the month. Also, the projects that I am working on are more knit, and knit for me is slower than crochet. So my finished objects are a little bit less than normal. Another thing happened in January. I ended up getting some early birthday presents. So I had already mentioned earlier in this video that my birthday is that second week of March. And so I had been saying that I needed a new chair for my lair, and I also wanted a rug for my lair. So I ended up getting both of those as a birthday present, early birthday present. And so this is what it looks like. This is a photo of what my little area in this corner looks like now. I think it looks so much better with the rug. Um, there are little bits. I'm of course, it wasn't just a rolled, nice and neat rug. It was one that was folded when it got to me. So it does have some creases that I need to work out. As a matter of fact, I'm toying around with the notion. They did say on the packaging that I could lightly steam it flat. I am thinking I'm going to try that when I get done with this video because it kind of needs it. But that being said, I am happy with it. It just needs to get, quite literally, some kinks worked out of it. With all that being said, let's get to the finished object. The FO, if you will. First off, I will talk about the finished objects that you have already seen or that are on my channel. So the first finished piece that I did this month was I did finish strip number 4, or make strip number 4 for the scrap blanket. And I also did a amigurumi challenge that was taking a character from a video game and making it into an amigurumi. That would have been the red girl from Nier Automata. That would have been last week's video. During Vlogmas, I started a Grinch inspired hoodie. Now, originally, I wanted to have that done by Christmas. I was late on that particular goal. Then I decided to move that goalpost out towards New Year, and I also did not make that one. So in January, let's get the months right, Barbie. So in January, I did get it finished to where I'm happy with letting it sit for now. It's not completely done. I do have some things that I would like to do with it, and there are some finishing touches that still need to be done. Seeming. Anyway, but this is finished for now. I am intending on bringing it back out in July to do a Christmas in July video on it and finish it then. So, without further ado, I am going to switch cameras to show you what this looks like currently. So, this is where she is now. Got the pocket. I do need to do, as you can tell, there are lots of strings coming off of this. However, I am happy with where it is right now. I do need to also seam the hood, which, I mean, that's going to be part of July, because I honestly, to be perfectly honest with you, I got tired of seeing this green. Like I said, I do need to seam up the hood still. Also, I think I made the pocket, the pockets. I think I made the the pocket just a little too low. So that is something that I am going to be working on. Let's see, what else is there to say about this particular project. Until, I guess, technically it's a finished for now. It's still kind of a work in progress. Uh, Definitely a UFO. However, I fully intend on finishing it in July to, yes. That is what I am going to speak on with that for now, because I want to get to my work in progress. My work in progress. If you join me on Twitch, I have been working on a seamless hoodie. The Grinch is a was I worked from the neck down in a typical raglan fashion, and then I worked up for the hood to add the hood to that particular sweater. I was looking at it, I'm like, then I have to seam the hood, and we all like, if you've been around, you know I don't like seaming and I don't like tails. If I can omit as many of that as possible or as much of that as possible, I will do it. I am working on a top down hoodie that you don't seam because the seam is not there. There's nothing to seam. So this is how far I am gotten so far. I am toying with the way that I want to do the sleeves because with the Grinch sweater, the sleeves, I have some chunky arms. We'll just put it that way. I have some chunky arms. So I don't exactly like really tight sleeves because I need a little bit, I prefer just a bit more room. So I am reworking the sleeves for this particular pattern. So then that way I have extra sleeve room. Let's see, is there anything else that I needed to speak of with this pattern at this point in time? I don't think so. But I am working out the raglan increases to give just a little bit more room in the sleeve area. So we will see if I can pull that off. If not, then I guess I'm starting the raglan over again and reworking it. But I guess it is what it is. And with all that information, the next part of this crafty chat is going to be my crafter confession. So for Christmas, I ended up getting a Michael's gift card. Preface this with that. And I saw that Michael's was having a buy two, get one free sale on the yarn. First off, I did better than what I thought I was going to do, especially saying that I went in and I physically pet yarn. I think I did better than what I could have done. And I only brought home 9 skeins of yarn in 2 different trips. So one trip I went in and I got 3, and the other trip I went in and I got 6. I'm going to rewind a bit because in December, when I went to go and get the yarn for the Grinch inspired hoodie, I did not know exactly how much yarn I was going to be using. I have made raglan sweater in the past, but I did want to make one that was a little bit roomier, and on top of that, also was going to have the hood, which I've never made a raglan with a hood before, nor had I made a sweater with a pocket like I did. So I wanted to grab as much as I thought in my brain I would need, and then I grabbed some extra. And I said at that point in time that I was not going to be adding that full total of yarn into my stash total. I was going to finish the green portion of that hoodie, and then I was going to take whatever yarn was left over and add that to the stash total. This is what I have left over. I have 2 full skeins of the Loops and Threads Impeccable in jasmine green, and then I have an extra 100 grams. So this is going to be added to the yarn stash total. However, I do have July, Christmas and July ideas to use this up. So that is going to be added in to the stash. That does not affect the goal yarn because I'm still going to be attempting to use 500 or 5,000 grams rather by the end of March, which we're going to get into that information in just a bit. However, back to these recent acquisitions for this month. So I went in to one of my local stores. I went to two different stores. The first one is one I went in and I only got 3 skeins of yarn. So those skeins are these. They are all loops and threads flax. And this one is in elephant. So it's white with um, black and gray flecks in it. I think that this one was the one that caught my eye. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to get 3 of the same color or just 3 different of the same price point or whatever, make it easy on me. But I found this amethyst one, and amethyst has the multicolored specks. Mainly, it looks like pink and blue flecks in it. So let me see if I can get camera, and there we go. So as you can see, it's got like these pink and blue flecks in here, hence the name of the yarn. So this one is amethyst, and I will see if I can get this one in. There we go. So you see that there is the black flecks as well as some gray in there. And I think it even has some white flecks in it as well. Like right there. That's the white fleck. I think that one is all like I said, that was the one that caught my eye. And then this one caught my eye, and then I was like, okay, so we've already got these two. If these two, we already have these two. If I wanted to make something larger, a color that went along with it, and then I picked out violet, and violet has some multicolored flecks in there. I see yellow and pink, and maybe some lavender in there for the flecks. But let me see. There we go. So I think that that is another pretty one. I think paired these together and would make a nice larger project if need be. I went to when I picked these up and I went to the cash register. Every time I go to the cash register, I'm always asked, "What are you making?" And so I had to confess. I felt the need to confess the fact that these were just going into my stash for now. I don't exactly have an idea really of what I want to make with these. Um, Toying around with trying some socks or some booties or whatever, slippers to wear around in the lair. However, I'm not exactly sure. So, we shall see. Each of these does have, let's see, 355 yards and 185 grams. So that is the details on this yarn. So, yeah, we shall see what I come up with. Now, when I was looking at and walking past to leave the yarn section, this next yarn is one I saw at that particular store, but I was like, I don't know if I like it well enough to buy it. So I ended up leaving it. And then I thought about it all night, and my husband was like, "Hey, I don't know what we want to, what I want to do today. Do you have any place that you would like to go?" And so I was like, a Michael's trip would be fun. So we ended up going the opposite direction from that first store that I was at, and we went to a different Michael's. Took a little bit of time to hunt this particular yarn down at that particular Michael's. I knew where it was in the first one, didn't know where it was in the second one. However, I hunted it down and I originally threw 3 skeins of this yarn in my cart. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't know if that's going to be enough. Is that going to be, checked it out and found out that it is only 100-gram skein. So, or ball, or whatever you guys want to, however this one is called. I will get into yarn. I was always told that this was a skein, but anyway, this, or under the impression that this is a skein. This particular yarn stood out to me so much. Look at all of those beautiful colors in there. Like, my light is not wanting to work with me. Look at all of those beautiful colors. You've got like this really, they're almost muted, but there's purple in here and there's green and this pink and the ombre effect from both of those turns into a really beautiful yarn. As you can see here, it is 100 grams in per skein. This particular yarn is called Skyscape. It's an acrylic blend, and it is 78% acrylic, 22% nylon. And this particular colorway is the purple and green multi. I did not mention the flax. Flax is an acrylic blend as well. It is 79% acrylic and 21% polyester. But this one, I'm like, I love it. It almost, I've grown to love it. I don't know how well I'm going to like working with it, which is kind of like, do I want to get 6, but I want to make sure that I have enough to make whatever I'm going to make. So, it is kind of more roving look to it. It's not as heavily spun. So there is some trepidation there. I don't know how well this is going to work up. However, I mean, for a project or two, I think I can handle it. Um, and it is super soft in the skein. So this was 100 grams or 262 yards. So I guess I get to do math now. Okay, so for those of you who were fastly calculating along with me, um, let's see if you got it right. For those of you who didn't, who are just waiting for me to tell you how much I got, including the jasmine green, impeccable, I added 1,509 grams to my stash. However, I have been using my stash, so I'm still less than what I was back in the beginning of October. So now it is time to get to the January yarn usage as well as the scrap stash buster series. First off, like I said, I did finish that strip number 4 for the scrap blanket, and that again came to 134 grams, as did the strip 3. But strip 4 came to 134 grams. Then I also made the red girl, which came to a total of 200 grams of used yarn. And I did end up adding in the hood for my work in progress, because that particular yarn I believe is done. So as far as that particular project, I might make the pocket out of that same yarn. I have not fully decided yet. So so far for that particular work in progress, the hood did come to 141 grams. That brings us to a month total of 475 grams used for the month of January, as well as the series up to the end of January. So for 4 months, in 4 months, I have used 4,535 grams of yarn. More math for you here. That means that I have 465 grams to go to reach the 5,000 goal. That is less than what I used in January, and January was a slow month. So I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. I could end up potentially having this done by the end of February, or at least reaching the goal by the end of February. So I am going to keep track of what I use through 2026. So that leaves me, so far, I have used the 475 grams in 2026. So lots of numbers that I have floating around, but this is keeping me honest. And that's what I told the ladies. I was like, the first step in recovery is admitting the fact that you have a problem. It does not necessarily mean that you need to come straight out of the first step. You can sit in that first step forever, but I did say that I did have this channel to keep me honest and make sure that I'm actually using the stock that I'm bringing in. So there's that. So lots of numbers. Numbers will probably change at the end of next month. Like I said, if I finish off this 5,000 gram usage by the end of February, then there's no real it. I believe it will just transition into how many grams am I using in the year of 2026. So um yeah, I'm not intending on getting any more big acquisitions of yarn. This is probably the biggest acquisition of yarn that I am going to get until maybe my birthday, maybe June. We will see. That amount of numbers was not enough for you. Here is another particular interesting number for you. So I started off on this Stash Buster series with 77,236 grams of yarn in my stash. I have so far used 4,535 grams, which that brought us down to a total of 72,701 grams. With the acquisition of January and the addition of that unused green yarn from the Grinch inspired hoodie, that was 1,509 grams. So that currently puts my yarn stash total at 74,210 grams of yarn in my stash. I still don't think I need to add anything more to this stash. I have a lot of projects that I would like to do though. So now that we have thrown all of those numbers around, I hope that you liked this little update. Um, I do have, like I said, I do have a lot more projects. I am going to be very busy this year, but I do have a lot of projects to do. I have some travels that I would like to show you, different yarn shops this year. I do have a lot planned. So if that is something that you're interested in, please like, share, and subscribe. I would love to have you here, and I am, again, trying to reach that 500 goal for my birthday. So, um, if I do manage to get that 500 goal by my birthday, I am intending to do a live here on YouTube. I do weekly lives or multiple lives now on Twitch. I ended up redoing my scheduling on Twitch because I did end up getting and convincing my husband that we needed to upgrade our internet. Not the one I wanted, but got better. So I am able to do more lives. I don't have to wait until my house is half empty in order to do a live. So as long as my husband is not here making noise, I can do live. So I have added more live. I'm going to be adding more lives to my Twitch as I have the time to hop on and do a live. I also, like I said, do want to do live for the 500 subscriber here on YouTube. That will be scheduled when we find out when I hit 500. So, yeah, for now though, I think that is all I have to yap about. So, until next time, bye. Oh, I got a hair here. Nothing like some crafter DNA.